The police officer handed our maid her purse back and quietly said, "Ma'am, you're free to go." Then he turned toward the HOA security chief and asked one question that made everyone standing at the gate go silent. "Tell me again, what evidence made you accuse this woman?" Because after humiliating Rosa Morales in front of 20 neighbors, searching her bag, and treating her like a thief for 6 straight weeks, they were about to discover that the missing $18,000 bracelet had never been stolen. And nobody knew the truth yet. Not even us. My name is Ethan Parker. My wife Claire and I had lived in Brookstone Ridge for 8 years. And Rosa Morales had worked with our family for 7. To our daughter Sophie, she wasn't the maid. She was family. Every Christmas, Rosa cooked with us. Every birthday, she baked Sophie's favorite cinnamon cake. And every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday morning, she arrived at exactly 8 o'clock. That routine never changed. Until Janice Holloway lost her bracelet. Janice was wealthy, loud, and happened to be best friends with HOA manager Melissa Grant. The day the bracelet disappeared, Janice practically turned the clubhouse upside down. By evening, rumors had spread everywhere. And somehow, those rumors landed on Rosa. Nobody accused her publicly. Not yet. But suddenly, Security Chief Derek Shaw started stopping her at the gate. Bag inspection. Every morning. Every single morning. At first Rosa said nothing. She smiled politely, opened her purse, opened her lunch container, showed her ID, and went to work. But by the second week, even neighbors noticed. Delivery drivers entered freely. Pool cleaners entered freely. Landscapers drove through without questions. Only Rosa got searched. Claire saw it one morning. "Why are you stopping her again?" she asked. Derek crossed his arms. "Routine security." Claire pointed toward 2 landscapers. "You didn't stop them." "Different situation." "What different situation?" "Ma'am, I don't discuss investigations." "Investigations?" Claire came home furious. But Rosa simply shook her head. "Please don't fight for me," she whispered. "I need this job." That's when Claire learned something Rosa had hidden from us. Her son Daniel was in kidney failure. 3 dialysis sessions every week. Insurance covered some costs. Not all. And Rosa worked because Daniel couldn't. Claire burst into tears. "You should have told us." Rosa smiled weakly. "Everybody has problems." But the humiliation got worse. Neighbors started whispering. Some avoided eye contact. Others looked at Rosa with suspicion. Then one afternoon Janice herself confronted Rosa outside our driveway. "Where's my bracelet?" I froze. "Excuse me." Janice ignored me. "People like you always think nobody notices." Claire stepped outside. "What did you just say?" Janice pointed at Rosa. She had access to homes. Claire exploded. "Get off my property." Janice laughed. "You people are defending the wrong person." Rosa stood there silently. Not angry. Not yelling. Just heartbroken. That night, I found her crying quietly in our laundry room. She quickly wiped her eyes. "I'm sorry, Mr. Parker. You don't owe anyone an apology." She shook her head. "Maybe I should quit." "No. I don't want trouble for your family." "Rosa," I said, "you're not leaving." She smiled. But something in her eyes looked defeated. Then came Thursday. The worst day. Rosa arrived carrying homemade soup. Before she could enter, Derek stopped her. This time, he wasn't alone. 2 police officers stood beside him. And 20 neighbors watched. My wife screamed. "What is this?" Janice stood nearby with folded arms. Derek spoke loudly. "We received information regarding stolen property." Rosa's face turned white. One officer searched her purse. Nothing. Another searched her car. Nothing. 10 minutes later, the older officer closed the trunk and handed Rosa her purse. "Ma'am, you're free to go." Then he looked directly at Derek. "Tell me again. What evidence made you accuse this woman?" Derek stuttered. Janice suddenly looked nervous. And that's when the officer said something nobody expected. "So you're telling me this entire accusation came from one resident's assumption?" The crowd went silent. But what nobody knew, not even me, was that Rosa had been quietly recording every humiliating encounter for almost 2 months. And hidden inside those recordings was something that would destroy far more than Derek Shaw's career. Because the missing bracelet wasn't the only secret waiting to come out. The crowd at the gate slowly dispersed. Janice Holloway got into her SUV without saying a word. Derek Shaw avoided everyone's eyes. And Rosa? She quietly picked up her soup container and said the same thing she'd been saying for weeks. "I'm sorry for causing trouble." Claire hugged her immediately. "Rosa, you're the one they're hurting." But Rosa only smiled. I just want to work. That night, Claire and I sat with Rosa in our kitchen. She looked exhausted. Not angry. Not bitter. Just tired. Then she reached inside her purse. Mr. Parker, I need to show you something. She pulled out her phone. I started recording after the second week. Claire looked confused. Recording what? Everything. The gate. The searches. The insults. The accusations. Even Janice. For almost 2 months, Rosa had saved every encounter. Not because she wanted revenge. Because she was afraid. If they fired me, she whispered, I wanted Daniel to know I didn't steal anything. Claire burst into tears. And then Rosa played one recording. Janice's voice came through clearly. She probably already sold it. Then Derek laughed. Melissa says people feel safer when they see us checking somebody. Claire froze. Melissa? The HOA manager. Another recording started. This time Melissa Grant herself. Keep searching her. Residents are nervous. We have to make it look like we're taking action. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. They knew they had no evidence. They just needed someone to blame. Claire immediately wanted to upload everything online. But I stopped her. No. We do this right. The HOA meeting was scheduled for Tuesday night. And we planned to attend. By Tuesday evening, the clubhouse was packed. Everyone had heard about the police incident. Even neighbors who never attended meetings showed up. Melissa Grant sat beside 3 board members. Derek stood in the back. Janice sat confidently in the front row. Until public comments began. Claire walked to the podium. Before anyone says these accusations are rumors, I'd like everyone to hear something. The room became silent. Claire pressed play. Janice's voice. Derek's laugh. Melissa's instructions. One recording after another. The room exploded. People gasped. Neighbors looked shocked. One board member turned pale. Melissa immediately stood up. Those recordings are out of context. But nobody was listening anymore. Then something unexpected happened. A young girl stood up near the back. Tears streamed down her face. Grandma. Everyone turned. It was Janice's 17-year-old granddaughter, Emily. Janice's eyes widened. Emily, sit down. But the girl shook her head. No. She looked directly at Rosa. I'm sorry. The room became completely silent. And then she confessed. I took the bracelet. Janice nearly collapsed. Emily sobbed. My boyfriend owed money. I sold it to a pawn shop. I was scared. Gasps filled the room. Janice sat frozen. Melissa looked sick. And Derek stared at the floor. For 6 weeks, an innocent woman had been humiliated. Not because of evidence. Because people chose the easiest person to blame. Board President Richard Hayes stood up. Effective immediately. Melissa Grant is suspended. And our contract with Shaw Security Services is terminated. People applauded. But Rosa didn't. She simply sat quietly, still trying to process everything. Then Janice slowly stood up. Everyone expected excuses. Instead, she walked toward Rosa. And through tears, she whispered, I was wrong. I hurt you. I'm sorry. The room held its breath. Rosa looked at her. And after a long moment, she hugged her. Even Claire started crying. Several neighbors wiped their eyes. One veteran stood up and said, That's more grace than I would have shown. The room laughed softly. But nobody forgot what happened next. Board President Richard Hayes stepped forward. Mrs. Morales, on behalf of this community, we owe you an apology. And then something beautiful happened. Every person in that room stood up, one by one. Not for the board, not for Janice, for Rosa. The standing ovation lasted almost a minute. And Rosa cried harder than anyone. 3 months later, Brookstone Ridge elected a new board. New security policies were created. False accusations required evidence. Workers received the same protections as homeowners. And Janice? She privately paid back every legal expense Rosa had incurred. But my favorite moment came on Christmas Eve. Our house was full of neighbors. Rosa walked in carrying homemade cinnamon cake. And little Sophie ran to the door yelling, Aunt Rosa's here. Everyone cheered. And as Rosa smiled through tears, Claire squeezed my hand and whispered, They spent 6 weeks treating her like a suspect. And now the whole neighborhood treats her like family. And honestly, they should have from the very beginning.